This is Josh Emmerich, and you're listening to the Master of One podcast. You can find me online at emmerich.co.
Welcome to another episode of the Master of One podcast, the podcast that can't wield a sword to save our lives, but we'd be excellent carpenters. Part 1 this week, we talk about Wet Hot American Summer 10 years later, Head-Lopper, and creative package design. I'm Andrew, your Master of Art and Design.
I'm Patrick, your Master of Television and Film.
And I'm Luke, your Master of Toys and Games.
So grab your sword or your hammer, because this battle's about to go down.
I don't know what to pick.
We like to kick every episode off by going around the table, which is where we talk about something new, fun, and noteworthy about our weeks. Patrick, you seem like a guy who just can't wait to talk.
I've just been doing so much. So this week, well, let me take a step back. We have so much going on in the M of One community right now. We have something that we are super pumped to unveil. Literally next week. I think we were hoping to be done by today because we might have actually teased it last Tuesday. We are close. We are in, T-minus hours. It's going to happen, but we will wait just a little bit longer. But in anticipation for some of this new stuff and just getting ready for what feels like event season for us, we're making a lot of updates to the website. And so...
That's true.
Well said. Well, it's one of those things like... it's very easy to, if you do design for a living, you do web development for a living, it's very easy to focus on everyone else's stuff and not your own. And so it's, some of the web stuff is just set for a while, and now we're actually picking it back up and really digging into the details. And so if you go on the website now, you'll see that one of the biggest features you're going to notice is that we've brought in this map on the home page that actually shows our upcoming events, our upcoming meetups, and then it also shows something new that we haven't talked about on air. The name of it is Street Team, but there will be more to come later, so consider that a tease. But it shows when those events are. Additionally, we've been reworking some of the content as far as kind of better explaining the show. One thing you're also going to see in the next week is that we're going to bring in blog content. So the idea is that, we love to talk to you. We love audio, and this is great. But sometimes we just want to make a short update during the week. And it's nice to be able to not only be able to make those updates, but also to be able to share what other artists in our community are doing. So we want to be able to do that as well. So again, in addition, there's been a lot of stylistic changes. You'll notice the rebranding. Andrew, did we talk about rebranding last week?
We did briefly, but it was really more in the sense, it was in the closing, and it was like, hey, you may have noticed that there's some new branding. That's pretty much it.
So incorporating that as well. So it's been a lot of work. So that, and then the other one is Reimagine Conference. There's some really cool stuff going on that end. We're starting to get speaker topics. They're starting to announce those, I should say, roll those out. And all that stuff is really, really cool. So there's been a lot of work behind the scenes going into M of One, and then also just getting our trip ready for, again, to do Reimagine, to do MondoCon, to do our meetups. Luke's got Gen Con coming up. It is going to be nuts. So that is, that's my week. Luke, go ahead and talk about Gen Con. I mean, I am days.
Yeah, I'm days away. I think 48 hours I'll be at Gen Con. The greatest 4 days in gaming. And it's the 50-year anniversary, so it is, I think it's sold out now. Something like 100,000 people will go through the turnstiles over the course of the weekend between the Indianapolis Convention Center and Lucas Oil Stadium and a couple of the hotels surrounding. They just kind of take over downtown Indianapolis, and it is crazy. There's stuff going on at all hours of the day and night. I've signed up for a couple of D&D sessions, a foam weapon workshop. I totally forgot that we signed up for that, so I'm doing that. I'm going to make a big sword. There is designing your own game, a couple of those I'm going to. And then all kinds of other panels. One author, Patrick Rothfuss, who did Name of the Wind and a couple other books. I'm going to go his talk, all kinds of stuff. I'm going to play a lot of games, hopefully see some our friends from Keymaster, Josh Emmerich, and Jamie Stegmeyer, and people that we've heard from on the show, and then hopefully meet any of you guys. So I'll be there, and if you tweet me or Instagram or whatever, we'll figure out a way to meet up, and I have swag, and I'll give you some
Or just
stuff, and we'll just play a
tackle you in a
game or
hallway.
something. Yeah, whatever. You'll see me.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game of Where's Luke?
Yeah. Master of Toys and Games, find Luke. So,
Yep.
but it's really easy to find because if you just ask me, I'll tell you where I am. So,
Well, now they know how to cheat the system.
well, yeah. I mean, if you can figure out from the source, it's not really cheating. It's just efficiency. And that's the best kind of game design. But yeah, so I'm just gearing up for Gen Con.
I see. It sounds like maybe you should teach a workshop next year, given how much knowledge you have in that subject.
Yeah, I mean, you know me in teaching or public speaking in general. It's just it's hand in hand. I'm great at it.
I would say private speaking as well.
Thanks, buddy. You're a real
cursory
friend.
knowledge of the English language.
That's fair.
It's
That's
funny.
fair.
It's funny. That's why.
The other thing that happened, we picked up Mario Kart 8. I'm a little behind on that for the Switch, and we found some yellow Joy-Cons, so we got those, and now we have 4-player and super awesome. I don't know if I mentioned this. I got another game called Half. I don't even remember what it's called because it's not great. Like Half Past Heroes or whatever.
Oh yeah. I don't remember the name of it, but it didn't look great.
It's
so I didn't
not great.
Buy it.
I picked it up used. It was $13, and then I had a $10 rewards certificate thing, and so I paid $3 for this game. I don't even think it's worth the $3 I paid for
I'm
it.
saying you still overpaid for
Yeah,
it.
it's a side-scrolling like RPG where you just pick points on a map, and you have to. It's kind of a fun game mechanic where you have to attack these monsters in waves, but you switch out your heroes because each hero has different abilities to hit different kind of monsters. So it's kind of a game of timing and strategy movement. It's not very good at explaining the rules, and the story to go with it is kind of blah. So don't even bother with that. But Mario Kart is amazing, and it's super, super fun. But yeah, that was pretty much my week. Gearing up for Gen Con and Switch. And that's it. So, Andrew, tell us about yours.
Okay, so a couple things. I got a great male couple of days. Like being a male for the last couple of days has been great for me.
Cool. Cool.
No, so I think I didn't mention, but I got a book last week called Petals, and it's a graphic novel, and it's like graphic novel in the truest sense of the word. Like there's no like actual dialogue. There's some word bubbles, but they're mostly sound effects. This book is incredible. I'll show you guys. I don't think it'll quite do justice, but you see the coloration, Patrick. I
Yeah.
imagine you would love this.
Oh, I love pinks and purples. You know
Yeah,
me.
yeah, I do. And so it's Gustavo Borges and Chris Peter. Chris Peter is a female, and she's the colorist. And Gustavo Borges, he's only 22 years old, the artist of this book. It's insanely good. It's very fun. The story itself is not fun. The story is actually kind of sad. But like the illustrations of it are fun. It's this tall crane-like bird wearing a top hat and a cloak, like a journeyman type thing, finds this little kid fox in the woods, and it's the winter, and he's trying to collect sticks because his house is cold and his dad is sick. And I'll just kind of leave it there. But it tells the whole story visually. There's no actual dialogue. And at the end of the book, it's hardcover. At the end of the book, there's an interview with each of the artists and the colorist to talk about the story and how they came to these decisions. And then there's like a gallery at the back of other artists who did the interpretation of the characters. So It's really great. I would urge you to go pick it up. I also got The Coldest City in the mail, and I'm excited to read that. That's the one that's
Nice.
connected. It's what Atomic Blonde was based off of, and I'm just really excited to read that one. But I'm really super stoked about two specific things. One, Not Cool Co. sent me she posted a while ago, a couple weeks ago or last week, that she had these stickers for each of the houses of Game of Thrones. Did you see that?
I saw
Yeah.
those.
So I
didn't know we could ask for them. Buy them.
So I bought
That's
them.
what I meant.
Yeah, so I bought them. I bought a set of them from her, and she sent them to me. And I didn't bring the pin up here. I will. I'll bring it up here. And show you guys in a bit. I specifically didn't post it on Instagram yet because I didn't want you guys to see it. So she sent me the stickers, and they're incredible. And I believe they're Sticker Mule, like they're very, very high quality stickers. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure they are. But on top of that, she gave me a card inside of it that's essentially said she couldn't resist, but throw in something a little extra. She did a pin, like not an enamel pin, but like a button of the Hound.
Oh
my gosh.
It's insanely cool. It's so fun.
I'm proud for you.
This has
and I think that's really cool of Not Cool Co.
This has taken on a whole new thing. I mean, I mentioned that I like the Hound, and all of a sudden,
be careful though. Be careful, like spoilers. But yes, you mentioned you like the Hound. Yeah,
that was all I was gonna say. But it's taken on this whole life of its own now, and it's so fun. It's so cool. I can't wait to show you the pin. I'll post it on Instagram. It'll be in the show notes. We'll post a picture of it in show notes. It's super fun. So thank you, Not Cool Co. Thank you. It's so cool. And if you like Game of Thrones, go pick up the stickers from her. If you're not aware of what her website is, we'll post that in the show notes as well, so that you can go and pick your stickers up because they're great. Finally, I got another thing from one of our community members, and it was a total gift, totally, out of the blue, and so awesome. Several months back, El Grey Ghost, or otherwise known as Gabe Barletta, hit me up on Slack and said that he was working on this project, and he knew that I was really invested in the property and wanted my input on it or whatever. So I gave a little bit of art direction, very little, but I just gave a couple of bits of input. And so fast forward, it got produced and sold at the gallery and all these different things. Fast forward now several months, I get home today and this is what is showing up, or this is what's sitting on the counter waiting for me. You're not gonna hear me talk for a second because I'm gonna unroll it so that I can show the guys.
Oh, and I already know what we're talking about because I remember the piece, and this is probably my favorite print that I've seen from Gabe. And I would say that it's almost like a Daniel Danger meets
I can see that.
Yeah, it is Daniel Danger-esque in the detail of the scope.
And I would even say like the tone of it as well. So it's over the garden wall. It's the characters walking through this dark forest, but it feels like almost like a Daniel Danger piece, or even maybe a bit like
the atmosphere, like the environment is a bigger part of the story than the characters.
The characters themselves take almost a backseat to the overarching the overarching landscape of the piece. It's like 95% landscape and then 5% characters. I believe my input into it was that he needed to incorporate the beast into it. I think that was my input, and so he's certainly in there, reflective in that. And you see the bird and the two main characters walking, and it's primarily like this teal color and black for the woods, because that totally suits the tone of the show. But then the characters have pops of red in their hats, and
it looks awesome.
It looks insanely cool. And big props to El Grey Ghost. He went with I believe it's Sticker Mule as well, went with the packaging tape, like the branded packaging tape, because his tube that he sent it in has like his El Grey Ghost logo wrapped around it. And it's so cool, super professional looking. I'm thrilled with this piece. I can't wait to frame it and put it up on the wall. So anyway, big props to the Master of One's community this week, because you pulled it out in a big way. So, all right, so that's it for our Around the Table. Up next, we're going to talk about master categories. The master category section of every week is when we get to talk about the tokens we drew the week before that give us the categories, and we pick our topics based on those categories. It's pretty straightforward. Patrick, why don't you tell us about your category?
Absolutely. And while I get started, I just dropped something into our little channel of communication so you can kind of start to visualize what I'm going to be speaking about. But I have art and design this week, and I'm going to actually talk about the art of some very awesome LPs. Now, one of the records we talked about on this show that is a really cool thing you've probably heard of, but I'm actually going to move into some stuff that I think even surpasses that, is the Star Wars record, Andrew, that you actually picked up. Man, would that have been, was that earlier this year or that was into last year?
It was last year, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was into last year. And if you've seen it, it basically, it has a Millennium Falcon and a TIE fighter, and they look like little holographs. So if you hold a light at a few inches above the record, shine it down, and while it's rotating, then it looks like you have this like spinning TIE fighter, correct?
Like it looks like a 3-dimensional hologram.
Yeah, and that was done by the same artist that actually did a record for the White Stripes, and it was a similar idea. But there's a couple other cool things coming out that are in that same way. So we're taking a technology, right? A record is not new technology, and we're taking that, and we're people are applying some really awesome ideas to it. So I think the most recent example I've seen is Mondo released their Anomalisa Mondo soundtrack this week. Now, this is designed by Alan Hines. Alan Hines is who also did the soundtrack for Fight Club for Mondo. But the way this works, so the sleeve, when it opens up, the sleeve is actually like a pop-up book. And so you have these two kind of pop-up hotel rooms with a bed and nightstands and things like that on either side. So they sit, the beds back to each other. Well, the record itself that you pull out of the sleeve then acts as the dividing wall and the headboard to both beds. So you open the sleeve, you slide out the record, you slide that between, in the middle, it stands straight up, and it creates these two sides, these two hotel rooms that butt up to each other. In addition to that inside record, the sleeve that holds it, it is shaped, the design on the edges of it is like a hotel room key card. So it's like both hotel rooms are separated by a key card, but also that's the structure between them. It's super, super cool thing. And so just taking this record, and certainly we've seen lots of just awesome design sleeves or covers. We've seen lots of really cool records themselves with like the liquid ink that moves around and all this crazy stuff. But the idea of actually being able to create this 3-dimensional structure that is a continuation of the story from the film itself is just super, super cool. So moving on to the next one. Now, this is probably the one that I think is the most it's rad. Can I say rad? It's just really rad.
You can say bodacious.
It's that too. And the thing is, this is not new. This is actually a few years old. But a company called Novalia, that's probably how you pronounce it. They did a record for DJ Qbert, and this is so crazy to me. This is wild. So basically this sleeve slides out, and it has these sensors built into it. And so you can actually lay this sleeve down, and it connects via Bluetooth to your phone, to an app on your phone, and you can actually like DJ from the sleeve of this record. So there's a video, because I know this isn't registering right now.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense unless you see the video. Even seeing the video doesn't make sense, but it's like is this real? Like this is
They have
crazy.
a making of that explains it, and they've done some similar concepts for some companies, for some other companies as well. I think they actually did one for like Pizza Hut or Domino's, one of those, and I've seen them do this concept for some other companies, but this does exist. There's a video in the show notes, but basically you lay the sleeve down and it has two records that you can scratch. It has your fader where you can slide back and forth, and it has these triggers where you can trigger sound effects, and you can sit here and again it connects via this low frequency Bluetooth to your phone, and you can actually manipulate this app from this piece of the record sleeve that just looks like a heavy piece of stock. That's all it looks like. It is insane. It is absolutely so cool. And they have some making of videos that you can check out as well. And certainly go check out the company. There's links to all of that stuff in the show notes. But I just love the idea of taking, again, something that is a record, something that our parents would have listened to, and then attaching this, not only this really high design or this really deep design, but then also attaching technology to it, or attaching these cool ideas. Seeing this stuff and thinking about this stuff in new ways. I think that's just incredibly exciting. So love this stuff. Go check it out again. That's the Alan Hines designed Anomalisa Mondo LP, and then the DJ Qbert LP, which was designed and built by Novalia. Sounds good. So very, very cool stuff. Watch the videos. Andrew,
I'd say it's at least close enough that they're not going to be offended that you didn't get it right. You know what I'm saying?
They're at least far enough away that if they do get offended, I'm safe.
You're probably all right. They're probably not going to pay for that. So you throwing it to me? Is that what I was gathering from the end of that?
That's absolutely what was happening.
Okay, cool. So I got toys and games this week, and I'm actually going to talk about a toy, but it's based off of a comic book. So a while back, it was actually in one of our conversations with Kolb during the Calculated Comics with Kolb that I stumbled across this comic, not because Kolb talked about it, but I was looking up another one of the comics he's talking about and stumbled across this comic called Head-Lopper. Okay. And Head-Lopper is, I'm going to do a quick synopsis of it, like very quick, abbreviated, not like a real review of it, because I've not I haven't dived, whatever the word is. Dived, that's it. Into the story very much yet, but it's essentially takes place. It's this Norwegian styled character. It's like this big Norse looking guy, and his name is Norgal, and he walks around and chops heads off of.
Yeah, he's a head lopper.
I don't know.
I mean, that's standard.
Yeah, he lobs
things
heads.
that have heads specifically.
Things that have heads. There's a character, like there's a head that he carries around with him, like it's one specific head. I haven't gotten into the mythos of the story yet. But what drew me to this initially was the art in the book. It's very much, and if you listen to the show for an extended period of time, you know that I'm a huge fan of Mike Mignola.
Yeah.
I have a Mike Mignola skull tattooed on my arm. Not his physical skull, but like one that he did.
Yeah, he wouldn't like that probably.
Yeah, that'd be weird. But I love Mike Mignola. Well, this is very much in that style of Mike Mignola. It's detailed, but like in very simplistic ways. It uses very simple color, very simple shapes, but combines it in such a way that it's really intriguing, and it's a really cool and unique style. So anyway, that's what drew me to this book. So I got the book. I've got the book right here, actually. I've got the full, like, volume, whatever. It's big. It's put out by Image Comics. It's still an active comic right now. And the artist and creator of it is Andrew McLean. But I stumbled across, so I started following Andrew McLean on Instagram, and several months ago, I saw that he was prototyping a figure to coincide with Head-Lopper, and it's Norgal. It's the big, like, beefy Norse-looking guy with the big, long white hair and beard, and he's wearing, like, chainmail, and it's just, he looks very Norse. But recently it came out as a pre-order. You can actually buy this figure. So it's a vinyl figure, and it's really, really cool. Like Luke, you've seen it at least,
it
right?
looks great.
Okay, so the figure itself, it only has a couple of points of articulation, but it doesn't really matter. It suits the character well. The pre-order right now is only $55. It's not much, but it's a big figure. It looks like it's 9 inches tall. That's a decent size vinyl figure, and it comes right now in like the pre-orders come with a special edition bag that it comes in. And it's like this it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's like an aged looking bag, and it has the map of the area, like of the land that the story takes place in on it. So it's really cool. They have had a couple of other variations. Like right now there's like a DIY one as well on there. There was a blue toned one, like a variant blue toned one that looked a bit like a White Walker from Game of Thrones. That one's no longer up for pre-order, but these should be shipping in the next couple of months. So if this is your bag, or if you want like a really cool looking beefy figure to go on your shelf, grab this figure.
Yeah, I mean, it looks amazing.
So, if this is your bag, go pick one up. It's super neat. You can get it. Skeleton Crew Studio is who's producing this, and there'll be a link to this in the show notes. But it's skeletoncrewstudio.bigcartel.com. You can pick it up. And the pre-order, I don't know how much longer it'll be open. Been open for a few weeks at least. And I imagine since they're going to be shipping soon, the pre-order will be ending shortly. So anyway, I'm excited to get it in, and I'll talk about it once it comes in, but it's going to look really good on my shelf back there. You'll be able to see it on the old Skype channel. I think, Luke, that just leaves you.
Yeah, so I had TV and film, and I'm going to talk a little bit. So I've been busy. I have not seen a movie in the theaters for a long time. I talked about wanting to do my movie day that I always do for my birthday. I just got busy, couldn't make it happen, so I am like dying to go to the theater, and I have no idea when it's going to happen. But there's so many things I want to see. Haven't seen anything. But on Netflix, just came out in the last week or so, Wet Hot American Summer, 10 years later. So I was a huge fan of the original movie that came out. I liked the prequel. And I started watching this. Now, I've only watched a couple episodes, so I'm not all the way through. I know, Patrick, you said you watched the whole thing. Andrew, I don't think you've even seen it. I
haven't seen the new. I've seen the show and the movie,
but you haven't seen this new,
one.
the 10 years later.
Not the new one. Right?
I'm a little disappointed. It feels a little bit like they are just milking the popularity and kind of like maybe the cult following. I don't even know if you could say that anymore because the prequel happened. I think that cult following just became a broad, like a lot more people liked those actors, so they started liking it. Now it feels like it's trying a little too hard. There's some very funny moments because all those actors, the whole cast is back except for Adam Scott replaced oh come on, I'm blanking, the character Ben, who was Patrick, help me out here. It was I
honestly can't remember who he replaced.
How do they replace a character? Like how do they do that?
They play it as he got a nose job, and so he looks different. So it's kind of fine. It fits like maybe the writing of the show and kind of like the kind of
it's kind of no pun intended. It's kind of
yeah, right. So I think it's passable, but it so they replaced one main character, and to me there's parts where I just want it to like I want to get to the end of the episode because I just want to get through it to say that I've watched it because I like the world that they've created. But I'm kind of bored with this new series. Patrick, what are your thoughts on it?
He replaced Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper. Thank you very much. I couldn't find it.
Bradley Cooper's not in it? What's the point then?
No,
well, there's a lot of other great actors in it. So.
Oh, sorry.
No,
yeah.
I only maybe got 5 or 6 episodes in, so I haven't seen the whole thing, although I don't think there's terribly many more to watch. I guess, I actually really loved the last series.
Okay.
I was a big fan of it, and I think it was very much in the same vein as the film. And in fact,
Sure.
I actually saw the series before I finished watching the film. I had seen snippets of the film, but I'd never seen the whole thing. I enjoyed the series so much, I went back and watched the film, and then a lot of stuff suddenly made sense. And and I really enjoyed it. But unfortunately, this season seems so just directionless, and I think that's what I'm struggling with. I'm okay with ridiculous humor.
Yeah, sure.
And of course that's their thing. You know, I like in the first episode when they're yelling like, "Oh, he's doing donuts! He's doing donuts!" You know, and it turns out donuts is the skit where he just like makes two donuts talk to each other, and they're not referring to the guy doing donuts on the four-wheeler.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Like I totally get
Yeah.
that. But once we actually start getting into like the plot that's driving characters forward, it's like it's too crazy, it's too arbitrary, it's too, man, I just don't know. It's weird to say that something.
It's hard. I'm struggling to keep attention on it.
Well, like it's funny to something that is so silly to complain that it's not serious enough in direction that feels like dumb on my part, but yeah, I just can't make really sense of it as like a thing. So it's fun for a few minutes, like genuinely, like the first 5 or 10 minutes it's hilarious, and you catch up with people and they're really hamming it up with the whole 90s thing, and all that's great. And then it's already background noise. Only like 4 or 5 episodes in, where like the only way I'm finishing it is if I'm actually working on a project and it just happens to be playing on the TV, because it's not something I'm going to intentionally sit down with at this point.
Yeah, and that makes me kind of sad, I think, because like I said, I like this world, and I like all the characters, and it's just I'm struggling to connect again. So yeah, but if you've watched it, if you love it, tell me why you liked it. I want to hear about it through whatever, Slack or Twitter or Instagram, whatever. Just tell me why I'm wrong. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, well, if that's it, then I think that is it for this episode. Go to mof1podcast.com where you can find show notes and links to all the stuff we talked about. We talked about quite a bit in this episode. If we talked about a product, go pick it up. If we talked about a show, go watch it. If we talked about any of the artists or cool people in our community, go check them out, support them. Just use those show notes. We put them in there, not for our benefit. We already know this stuff, so it's for you guys. So go and do that. And while you're there, check out the website. There's some new fun features. And like we said at the beginning of the show, stay tuned to our social media over the next couple of days / week, and hopefully we'll be able to announce our next venture very, very shortly. So check that out. Just go to M of1 Podcast on all the different social media platforms. Go to mof1podcast.com/Slack to join the conversation there and become a part of that community. It is an amazing community of people. We cannot say enough about them. If you're a part of that community, thank you for being here. And if you're not yet, what are you waiting for? Just join it and start connecting now. And then you can support the show on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/mof1 podcast. Become a patron for as little as $1. For $5, you're at the blooper level. And you get some bonus content and some fun stuff, and then some early access to some other things, as well as an exclusive Slack channel where we chat about things. So do that. And then finally, go to iTunes and subscribe. I mean, this show comes twice a week, every week. And if you're like me, you forget about that stuff. So go and subscribe, and you never have to remember our release schedule ever again. It just pops up on your phone and says, there's a new episode of Master of One ready for you. So go ahead and do that. And Patrick, after you've done that, what do you do?
You're going to want to rate and review the show. That's right. You're going to want to tell us what you think about us with 5 stars and a witty comment. Now, here's the thing. I just checked this week. I was down last week. You all remember.
Yeah.
I expected.
You were out of it.
This week a flood, a deluge.
Yeah, big things. Big things.
Nothing.
As it twerks.
It's possible that everyone that left a comment last week lives in another country. I'm not going to rule that out. That is certainly possible.
Yeah.
We have a big following.
This is a global
It's
show.
even probable.
Yes. But that being said, I really am dying to read some reviews on the air. So if you do not leave a review, I'm going to start making up reviews on your behalf. I'm going to tell people you said it, and I'm just going to start saying crazy things. I'm just going to go through our followers. I'm going to go through Slack community. I'm just going to find names, and I'm going to attribute stuff that I say to you. So
Sounds reasonable.
here's the thing. Leave a review and prevent that from happening. But thank you to everybody. And a big thanks to our latest. We actually added 2 patrons this past week. So big thanks to both those guys. And hopefully we're going to add some more. So a huge thank you to Mr. Jedi Robbies. That's right. We know how to pronounce that name now. Next,
Jedi's Rolbies.
Next, we get to learn how to pronounce his last name. So we're going to stay with that for the time being. And then also an easier pronunciation, Mr. Sharkman. That's right. I assume Shark is your first name and Man is your last name. But thank you again for your pledge. So that's right, 2 new patrons. And again, I know Andrew already said this. We have so much we want to do for the community, and we have so many ways we want to share and grow and those things. Patreon is a very real, tangible way of getting there. So audio equipment, again, this stuff we've teased several times this episode that's coming this next week. It is a direct result of the support of our patrons. So thank you. Andrew, finish as a twir.
I don't know what a twir is, but I'll try to finish as one.
I love the word. I love twain.
As a twir.
Like
I will finish as a twir.
Twain?
Twain.
Please say betwixt next.
No. I was going to say
Betwixt.
it's like the Robin of Locksley. He spit the arrow in twain. Like that word. And
Sure.
then twir.
Twir.
Those are my favorite.
As it twir. As it twas.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to finish this as a twir.
Word that it twir so simple.
Or twir de terre de Missinville.
You might could.
Yeah.
I think you just quoted a Missy Elliott song, but close.
This has devolved, so we're gonna go ahead and get out of this episode. I'm Andrew.
I'm Patrick.
And I'm Luke.
Peace out.
Word that it twir so simple.
Hold on to your butt.
Part 1 this week, we talk about Wet Hot American Summer 10 years later. Hot Lapa. Nope. Nope. That's not even a thing.
Head lover.
Yep.
Hot lapa.